5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
And hello and welcome to Truth Beer and Podsequences. This is the podcast where we listen to all of the Cincinnati craft beer podcasts from the previous week, and then we come together and give our version of the truth about those podcasts. Hopefully, there aren't too many consequences from the hosts of the other shows. So far, so good. I am Marco. I'm a brewer here locally in Cincinnati, and I am going to introduce now the best podcast co-host in Podcastlandia.
I am Julia, and I am a drinker. I drink the beers some of the beers that Marco brews, some of the beers that other people brew, but I drink them.
So you're the one.
I am the one.
You're the one who drinks my beer. Just as we get started, as we always do, want to give a big shout out to our podcast host, BC's Bottle Lodge Montgomery. Come on out to BC's Bottle Lodge Montgomery. They just tapped Thunder Snow.
One of the best Scottish ales out there from Mad Tree Brewing, right here in Cincinnati.
Also, come on out here because you can experience the freshness and just the cleanliness that the Cintas company provides via the Cintas guy.
Yes, I mean there is no bathroom, no bottle shop that is fresher or cleaner than BC's Bottle Lodge Montgomery.
Haven't tested the toilet paper lately.
We have not. Maybe that's something that we need to do. Maybe we should visit a couple different bottle shops. Since breweries have already been handled by the Gnome,
sure. Maybe
we should go to and see if higher gravity can beat out BC's.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Challenge
accepted.
Thrown out.
Done. We'll do this.
No beer podcast would be a good beer podcast if they didn't have beers.
Truth.
What are you drinking, Julia?
I am going big today, and I am having Coffee and Cakes, which is an Imperial Stout by Hubbard's Cave Brewing. It is 12.5%. It's been on the board for a while, but because of that high ABV, I've always kind of shied away, thinking
sure,
there are going to be a lot of beers I'm going through during this show, so I want to keep it a little lower, but kind of a little bit of foreshadowing here. We have a bonus episode that we are going to be doing.
Yep, bonus episode.
What do you have in your glass, Marco?
I have Lore from Sonder,
so
Pale
good.
Ale. I think I had it on the show last week. May have had it on the show the week before.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah, it's good.
It's really good, yeah. So we have our beers. We have our laminated show sheets. The next important question, the next important thing to make sure that we have both done prior to starting the actual podcast content. Did you listen to any Cincinnati craft beer podcasts?
Yeah, all of them.
Hell
It was
yeah.
close. It was razor thin.
Yeah, it really was. Down to the wire. I walked into BC's Bottle Lodge, and Marco had his earbuds in. I'm like, so what you doing? He goes, nothing. You sure, man? What you listening to? I'm totally not catching up on the final podcast.
Right.
All right.
Totally
hey,
not.
All good. Hey.
Totally not. Life happens.
But
we're still here. We're here.
That we are. And we are glad that you guys are along for the ride with us.
Yes, and thank you. If it's your first time listening, truly appreciate you coming aboard. If you've been with us since the beginning, I appreciate your listenership and your patronage and all of that. And truly, it means a lot to us.
It really does.
That people listen to, like, and share, and review, and pester their friends and family members and people who aren't their friends or family members.
And also that they follow us on social media at Truth Beer Pod everywhere. And there are some listeners that we love and appreciate so much for going to truthbeerpod.com and clicking on the blue support us link and buying us a pint or two to help keep the show going and to help get us closer to upgrading some of our equipment and doing more things to make this an even better show for you.
Yeah, and then we have some goals. I mean, once we get to a certain point, I might have an elective surgery or something. You just never know. You never know.
You might need to buy some mason jars to bottle up some stuff to sell on Etsy. You never know.
You never know. Appreciate it, all of you that have done that. We've had really fantastic support, and I truly encourage everyone, if you feel so inclined, to please do support us in that way. So now that we've talked about what we have in front of us to drink, and we've gotten all of the sort of benchmarks of the beginning of the show out of the way, what did you listen to, Julia?
I listened to Cincy Brewcast.
I've heard of this.
I listened to Shifty Beers.
Yeah.
And I listened to Craft Parenting Podcasts.
Okay, very good.
How about you?
Ditto.
Very nice. Now,
Back to the 90s on that one.
I do want to say, well, not say, let's start with Craft Parenting Podcast, because this was an interesting thing that they're doing. The next couple of episodes, or maybe they'll split them up in between parenting and beer. This episode of Craft Parenting Podcast, episode 45, Caroline, or as you like to say,
Caroline.
Beautiful. She's been reading a book by a local author, Michael D. Morgan, called Cincinnati Beer. And they're going to be doing a 5-part trilogy, or maybe it's just going to be a 2-part trilogy. She's not sure, where they do kind of a deep dive into the book where they talk about what led up to Prohibition in Cincinnati, which is a really fascinating topic. But because she's going to be doing multiple, or well, I guess they, I don't want to just say she, Joe is participating in the conversation as well. I think that what I would like to do is kind of smash all of that together, but I do definitely want to touch on a couple of the points to make sure that you guys all know to listen to this episode and to the episodes that they are putting out about the road to Prohibition in Cincinnati. One of the main points from this first episode was they talked a little bit about Carrie Nation, who was the founder of some of the best burgers in a restaurant called Nations in OTR/Pendleton, and in Westwood, which is right across the street from Westside Brewing, which, as we all know, is Joe and Caroline's home away from home.
And yours.
And mine. Yeah. I'm 7 minutes away. It's dangerous at times.
That's closer than I am to BC's.
Really?
Yeah.
And you're pretty close to BC's.
Pretty close.
All right.
Yeah.
So Craft Parenting Podcast, like I said, give it a listen. I kind of want to see how they put together all of the different episodes and then do kind of a big recap about how they dove into Prohibition in Cincinnati. But if you want to check out the book, again, it is Cincinnati Beer by Michael D. Morgan. The Gnarly Gnome had him on one of his shows many months back. I don't have the actual episode number written down.
I remember that.
Really cool if you're interested in Cincinnati beer history. It is definitely going to be I'll call it a podcast series, because it is kind of like a mini series that they're doing.
A 4-part trilogy.
Well, she said a 5-part trilogy.
Ooh,
but,
a 5-part trilogy.
But I guess it just depends on what she reads and how much information from the book she wants to tell us about.
You know what would be a cool idea?
What's that?
Is if she wrote a book about that book.
Ooh.
Huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. Caroline, when you do this, all we're asking for is 0.5% of the royalties so we can just buy more beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and like I said, it was a really good episode. It is definitely worth listening to, but because it's going to be many episodes, I don't want to say about the same thing, but it's about the same book. I don't want to spend a huge amount of time on it, but again, definitely check it out. Really good information, and I'm really excited to get to the point to where she finishes the book, they finish their recap, so we can do a big recap of all things Caroline, Joe, and pre-Prohibition in Cincinnati.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. Did you want to move on to Cincy Brewcast or Shift Beers? What would you like to do, sir? I'm leaving it in your hands.
Okay. I have an idea about something to correlate with one of the shows, so...
Ooh, okay.
Let's talk about Cincy Brewcast first.
Let's do it. All right, so we are going to dive into Cincy Brewcast, which is all about Bircus and their growth throughout northern Kentucky and even crossing over into Cincinnati in the next year or two, it sounds like.
Big deal. It's a big deal.
It is.
Over there at Bircus. Julia, have you been to Bircus?
I have. I've been to their Ludlow location.
Okay.
I've not yet been to the Covington location.
All right.
It is a super fun space. You walk in and they have the taps and the bar right up front, and then you go down a small series of steps to this big open area where if they don't have an event going on, either circus performers or a band or wrestling or something, they do so many amazing things there. It's just full of tables. They actually painted a pickleball court on the floor, so there'll be some nights where some of the tables will be pulled back for pickleballing. I don't know if that's how you say that, but
I don't know.
yeah, it's a very, very, very cool place. How about you? Have you made it down there yet?
No.
Okay. Well, we should make a northern Kentucky trip at some point. Go to Alexandria, go to Bircus, go to Braxton Wooden Cask and
Darkness
Brew. God, I love Darkness. They are so good and so underrated.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Sounds great.
Let's do it.
Sounds like a great idea. Let's wait till the weather gets a little bit nicer.
Yes.
Although today, what are we at? Like,
oh my God, we're at almost
it's shorts
65
weather.
degrees.
I mean, I'm in a bikini over here. It's like, what is it? 55 degrees?
It was a little awkward walking in here and like, so normally when I come in, the way where Marco and I normally sit, his back is to the front doors and my back is to the bar. I walk in and I see just this bare back.
Glistening.
He oiled himself up there's no sun. The sun's not even. Anyway.
It's a routine.
Anyway.
It's a routine.
I mean, it could have just come from like your hair, from just the product in your hair may have just kind of run down, but it was
like a Razor Ramon type thing.
My only question to you I mean, if you want to wear a bikini, whatever, you got the bod for it. It's
Mankini.
Cool. Ooh. Did you still have to wear the socks?
Well, my feet were cold.
Well, okay, fair enough. Nothing worse than cold feet.
I know. I don't let my bare feet touch the floor.
I don't either.
Yeah,
I don't like things sticking to my feet. It's just not right.
But in my childhood, my mother would tell me, you better put something on your feet or something, something's going to get stuck up your foot. Like, I didn't realize we kept nails and thumbtacks all over the floor.
Fun story about that.
Please.
Not about me, but about my sister. So,
okay.
Who I don't think listens to the podcast, but if you do, Eric, I'm sure you remember this. So there was one night, it was just like a normal night. Who knows what was happening before all this, whatever. All of a sudden she screams, my foot hurts or something in my foot. Apparently, and I don't know who it was. I'll take the blame because it's been so long, but someone had left like a sewing needle out. All you could see was like the thread coming out of her foot. Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. And to be honest, I don't remember if we ended up going to the hospital or if my mom, who's been a nurse for years and years and years, or if she was able to just pull it out. But yeah, so that's why normally I even wear, like, I don't have any slippers that aren't hard soled, like that don't have a rubber sole. Like, I make sure that I have protection for my feet as well as nothing's going to get stuck to them. So that's my fun foot story.
Okay. Yeah. That's that made me cringe there a little bit.
Because it still makes my toes curl thinking about it.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Send all your stories about things getting stuck in your feet to at Raging Hop on Twitter. And
he will filter through them and let us know the best ones, and maybe we'll tell them.
Maybe
next week's Truth Beer Pod.
Maybe next week. Yeah, we'll share some of your stories.
Man.
So participate with us in that way.
Hell yeah!
So Bircus, Ludlow.
Yeah, Cincy Brewcast.
But so we talked about. I asked if you went to the space, and you talked about some of the things. But this is one of the breweries that actually has a very pronounced and consistent theme to its original location.
It does.
And then that idea a little bit less pronounced to its second location.
Right.
But Bircus started with the idea of being a venue where you can have great craft beer and experience circus performances.
Right.
Because the founder, or one of the founders of Bircus, was a circus performer.
Yeah, Paul Miller, who Paul Miller was on the show. He is the owner, and their new head brewer, JD. I think it's Angle or Angel. I'm sorry, they never said his last name, but it was in the show notes, so I am pronouncing it as best as I can. But JD and Paul were on the show. Paul was a circus performer, and Paul even said that there'll be times where he's walking around helping people out, and he'll be talking to someone about beer, about Bircus beer, while also teaching them how to spin a plate on a stick. It is the coolest thing. It's the most gimmicky thing, but it is such a I feel bad calling it a gimmick, even though that's what it is, because it flows so well with what they do, with what they want to do, and with who they are, that calling it a gimmick almost sounds like you're cheapening it, and it's not that at all. I agree
in the sense of that it's their niche, it's their it's what they lean into. It's the thing that they want you to think about when you think about them.
Yes.
It's beer and it's circus performances, and I think that's fantastic. I love the concept. The fact that I haven't been there really has only to do with some of the things that they covered a little bit further into the podcast. So I'll save that for a little bit later. We can talk about that. Pretty early into the podcast, yes, they talk about the theme, circus theme, and go to their website to find out what actual activities are happening at their place. What is it? Midwest Wrestling Federation is coming up very soon.
The Northern Wrestling Federation will be there actually this weekend on February the 5th. But we went down there to watch wrestling, and so we had amazing craft beer, and we were watching some absolutely phenomenal wrestling while we were there. And they do a great job of making sure that the setup includes enough space for people that just want to go there and drink and have no intent to watch wrestling to be able to do that. But if you want to experience the entire soul of what Bircus is and participate in the event while you have their beers, they do an amazing job of it. So yeah, February the 5th, if you guys are free this weekend, go watch some wrestling. It's very worth it.
Wish I was. It's the rare Saturday that I have to close at my full-time job, right. So I can't make it. I would have normally been able to make it, so I'm crossing my fingers that I can get to the next one, because that sounds absolutely fun.
Yes.
And I know some of the Cincinnati craft beer podcasters really dig that and have fun at it, and I'd love to hang out with them and you and get over there and do that.
Cheer for some wrestlers.
For sure. And then they got into a little bit of JD's story.
They did, which was really cool. He has done
contract
so many jobs. So many jobs, and he's been to so many places. The big thing that they focused on was when he was working in Indiana, because he said that the culture in Indiana, brewing there, is incredibly different than brewing in Ohio.
Weird.
Very weird. To them, a 42 IBU IPA was considered something mind-blowingly bitter.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Like how far behind that beer culture there is.
I had a seltzer that was higher AB.
And then apparently the brewery was somewhere near a hut, because he talked about being outside of a hut and shaving coconut.
Yes.
I didn't realize that we needed to, manually. They haven't had the infrastructure to bring shaved coconut to Indiana.
And they got the entire village to help shave the coconut.
Yes.
It was almost like they were talking about India and not Indiana.
It's crazy.
But I mean, stranger things have happened. But no, JD has a super cool story.
And he brewed it Moorline.
He did. He knows what he's doing, and I am very excited to get down there again and to drink what he's been brewing up. Juggalotes, shout out to Chris at Shift Beers, is probably one of my favorite Bircus beers. You can figure out what it is purely by the name.
I like his approach to the question that was asked. Hey, what do you think about these pastry stouts? What do you think about these candy beers? And it's like, seltzers and things like that. He's like, look,
anything trendy, quote unquote, for the air quotes for the people not on the Platinum Patreon.
Totally admitted that 5 years ago he would have felt differently about it, and he's progressed to the point where he's like, look, I like making things that I like. I like making things that are in my wheelhouse, but I also love to make things that other people enjoy.
Right.
So, and I totally get that.
Oh,
I brew many beers that I can't even drink, right? But
you are somewhat limited.
But in many ways, Julian. But I still enjoy making that beer. I still enjoy the process of it, and I still enjoy watching people, truly appreciate that. Mm-hmm. So I love that approach.
Yeah, I did too. I think that is going to be. I think he's going to fit in incredibly well at Bircus. Hopefully he stays there long term. If this is another stepping stone for him, I feel like he has the right mindset to fit into that niche that Bircus has, to brew great beer, but also to be a very special environment for people to show up at.
Exactly.
So I think that that's going to be amazing. Like I said, can't wait to get down there again, hopefully soon to drink more beer, kind of beer that a new brewer has a very heavy hand in.
And then the amount of thought and preparation and just extreme connections that went into the Covington location. I mean, the owner having a connection to somebody who works in Venice and being able to come during, this time where you couldn't travel and be a resource and somebody who could create amazing pizza recipes from scratch and then help them build this amazing pizza oven, and to where where you're getting a true Italian experience in Covington, Kentucky.
Right. And I was actually looking at their website because I was curious to see if the pizza is something, because they said that in the location they didn't have an existing like grill or oven or whatever to make these pizzas. They built a wood-fired oven, so that this chef from Italy could make really, really good-sounding pizza. So I was on their website to see if that's only available at the Covington location. But it says, hey, order here for either Ludlow or Covington. So I don't know if they have a way to deliver to both locations. It wouldn't surprise me if they do, but it doesn't sound like you're going to be limited on only getting that delicious pizza if you go to the Covington location versus the Ludlow location. Goodness, that's kind of a mouthful.
I know it's a lot. And they even mentioned in the future buying a fleet of Vespas to be able to bring pizzas back and forth.
They wanted to do gondolas, but I mean, the river's kind of right there, but
it's very dangerous.
Well, there aren't enough tributaries that go between the Covington location and the Ludlow location, which, fun fact, no one in Kentucky knows where Ludlow is. It's and
fun fact,
Ohio,
no one in Ohio knows where it is either.
Unless you've been down to Bircus. And then you're like, oh, this is Ludlow.
Right.
Still don't know where I am, but all right.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Not sure where I am, Ludlow.
One thing, kind of going back to JD real fast, just looking at my notes, he went from a hazardous material safety handler to a brewer, which aren't those kind of one and the same, depending on what...
It's a pretty organic way of going about it, because he was a material safety handler at, what was it, Miller Coors?
Yeah, the big place. Does he know our favorite host?
I don't know.
Hold on.
Shit.
Boy, wouldn't that be awesome if he did.
He didn't say what location, but maybe he does. Maybe he does.
Though he did talk about being out in Colorado, so...
then I don't know if... I don't...
Hey, there have been
There have been
smaller Venn diagrams that this show has found out about. So
oh, that's true.
It is not off the table. It is not off the table.
That's true. They could know each other.
The Covington Tap Room
could have met on Tinder.
Could have been Grindr, Tinder.
Yeah.
Whatever. Who cares? As long as people meet up and are having a good time. So yeah, the Bircus Covington Tap Room has not been open for very long, but it is doing incredibly well. So well, in fact, that they are in talks with getting a location in Cincinnati, in downtown Cincinnati, to open a third location, which they were saying they didn't dive too deeply into it.
So there's some weird sort of, I guess, newfangled crowdfunding. But there's some sort of, it's not just crowdfunding, but equity, and then not diluting previous investors
and things.
This is way over my head, and
it's
they don't really
above
get
my pay grade,
too deep into it. But
if you go to Bircus's website, if you are interested in investing in Bircus and being part of, I believe it would be for Bircus as a whole, not just one specific location. They have all the information on their website. But they are still in talks about, the building that they want to move into, I believe, down on Vine Street in Cincinnati.
The thing is, he talked like they have the specific place in mind.
They do.
And when this funding comes in, they're ready for it.
Right.
Because they talked about the height of the ceilings and the way that the place would flow. And
they're like, as long as the ceilings are tall enough that we can put a trapeze in here that swings over the pizza ovens and then back over the other way over the fermenting tanks, we're in. So it sounds like it's mostly a done deal. They're just waiting to actually sign the papers. But again, this is above Marco and I's pay grade. This is something that wasn't talked about too in depth. But if you are interested in becoming a sponsor of Bircus, basically, you can go to their website and get all the information that you can. They
could probably do something cool and fun. Like, since they're going to have a trapeze, what you could do is, like, at a certain point, like a dollar amount as an investor, they sent you like a swing for your bedroom or something.
That'd be so awesome. Don't they already sell those on like Amazon? And other sites?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Probably not these kind of swings.
I never thought about that.
Maybe.
Julia.
Took him a second.
I see what you're doing there.
So they are the first
Baby.
brewery in the country to be crowdfunded, basically, which I did not know until I listened to this episode of Cincy Brewcast.
And apparently, I guess I don't know what that means because I thought other breweries have been doing this for a long time.
Well, Bircus has been around, I want to say before, like Esoteric and that, so they very well, I wasn't super aware of Bircus's opening process for the Ludlow location for when they first opened up as a brewery, so maybe they did crowdfund and I just somehow wasn't aware of it. But they said that, and maybe they, again, I could have misheard something, but I believe they said that they are the first brewery in the country to be crowdfunded. But does that mean in order for them to open, does that mean crowdfunded to do X, Y, or Z? Not sure. So listen to the episode.
Yeah, listen to the episode.
And find out a little more about it.
And to go back to what I was talking about earlier about
Yes.
having not been there, the reason I haven't been there is because
It's a haul.
I don't have any reason to be in Ludlow, Kentucky. That is not in my circle.
Mm-hmm.
The place sounds amazing. It sounds fantastic. It sounds like I would really, really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Barring us doing some sort of, event, I don't find myself frequenting that place.
Sure,
And that's a big reason why they talked about the spot in Cincinnati, downtown Cincinnati, is because they specifically said, look, people out in the suburbs of Cincinnati, they just don't go that way.
Right.
They're not going to head out there.
For people in Cincinnati, when you say Ludlow, even for me, the first thing that pops up into my head is Clifton. The Clifton area, Ludlow Avenue, that runs from Central Parkway all the way up, up into...
Sure. Yes.
Marco's east side, I'm west side, and it shows right about now.
That's fine.
But they were saying that even people in Covington, when asked, do you know where Ludlow, Kentucky is? They went, no idea what you're talking about. But it's definitely a super cool space. Marco, maybe we can do something to where you meet Josh and I at our house, kind of a little more than a halfway point, and then we will take you down, and we will.
There we go.
We will enjoy some Bircus beer, and then go to hit up some of the other breweries in the area. Darkness and all that good stuff. Super cool episode. I do want to say major props to Gnome for editing this one, because the very faint circus music in the background of the entire episode.
Yes.
I was dying. That was such a beautiful. Again, it was soft. It was one of those things to where all of a sudden you're like, where am I hearing this from? So Gnome, freaking amazing job on the sound editing for this episode of Cincy Brewcast. I
also want to acknowledge that the owner of Bircus, as he was talking, even said, look, some people don't like clowns, and I just want to say, I don't know people who do.
Yeah,
So,
I don't think I know
there.
anyone that likes them. And again, the 2 times that I've been down there, I've never seen a clown. So I don't think that even when they do the circus performances, because I've seen the pictures on their Facebook page and all that,
Right.
it doesn't seem to be super clown focused. So I
better not.
I believe.
I'll stab a clown.
Yeah, so will I. And I won't even feel bad about it.
No.
No.
If they die,
No.
they die.
Clowns are evil. Clowns do not have a place in this world.
No.
And that's all I'm saying.
That's all that has to be said, Julia.
Yeah.
Anything else?
That's all that I had. It was, Gnome, thank you so much for putting together this episode. I know that you had, missed a couple weeks just trying to get the new schedule figured out, sorted out. So we are so glad that everything with Gnome being the Gnome full-time, Gnome Creative. I am extremely happy that you are staying as busy as you are, that you're getting shit done. This was an awesome episode, and we can't wait to see what you guys do next. And Bircus, be warned, Marco and I will be showing up at some time soon.
That's right, and there better not be any damn clowns.
But a couple trapezes will be okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
All right,
That's
cool.
fine.
Well, it looks like we are getting low on drinks, and we have something special that we wanted to do for the next podcast that we talked about. So we're going to take a real quick break and then be right back at you with Shift Beers.
Hey, clowns.
Welcome back, everybody, and it is time
Yep.
for us to cover one of the most extensive podcasts that we cover, just because it has its own special, I don't say segment, but game involved with every episode that we recap for them.
Right.
It is Shift Beers, episode 66. Ready to chug. I mean, ready to drink.
Right.
Beers. I will say, first and foremost, there was no adult present to ensure that things stayed in control. So, as you all know, that means that Beth was not there for this show, and we all miss Beth. Beth is one of the best parts about Shift Beers.
Sure.
But they drank a whole bunch of ready-to-drink cocktail. I don't want to say beers, but cocktails or ready-to-drink drinks.
Yeah, ready-to-drink canned
Drinks.
Beverages. Right. I don't know. So,
and the Crozet. So Josh apparently went out to get all of these, and the Crozet that he went to did not have the best selection, but I think they did a pretty decent job.
I mean, I don't know how many more he was looking for.
Right. They had a shit ton, and they're all, again, listed in their show notes. Thank you guys so much for doing that so that I don't have to write them down for you.
Yay, everybody.
So let's see. First note that I had on this episode was hell of a Beastie Boys reference at the very beginning of the show.
Yes.
Paul Revere, yeah. I
They
know
just
Marcus
get
kind of
started.
looked at me for a second. I'm like, please tell me you didn't miss that one. I'd have
No.
to judge you.
No, of course not, Julia.
And Brian is channeling his inner Dylan from Sonder, and he's getting into leg day.
Yes, leg day.
Good for him. Apparently he couldn't go up the ladder to help out in the brew house.
Yeah.
But hell yeah, I know that he said that his
Glutes were tight.
glutes were incredibly tight. Do some foam rolling.
Yeah.
Foam rolling is incredibly painful, but it's apparently helpful. For
No,
me,
it's very helpful.
For me, it hurts, and so I'm like, I'm not doing this. And then I just continue to hurt for a very long time
very
after I
helpful.
do leg day.
I'm a pretty sweet foam roller.
I do too. I have one that's just like a regular cylinder, and then I have one with all the little bumps on it. It hurts so bad.
Yeah, I don't have the
But
bumps,
it
so
ends up
mine has
so good.
swirls.
Oh, nice.
Like a swirl pattern on it.
Nice. So, Brian, if you need any foam roller advice, you know two people right here to hit
Yeah.
up for any assistance in trying to combat that soreness from leg day or whatever day you happen to work. I mean, they're always fun episodes.
What are we drinking?
Oh, that's an
So
excellent point.
they're having RTDs, ready to drink cocktails.
So we decided that BC's Bottle Lodge Montgomery, they have RTDs as well. So we're drinking one of what they said were their favorite RTDs out of the entire show.
Yep.
We're drinking a Crown Washington Apple
That's right.
RTD beverage. And
Crown Washington Apple can stands out quite a bit. It's
bright green.
bright, yeah, and it's textured.
Oh, is it? I didn't
It's not.
notice that.
It's not a smooth can. 7% ABV, and
Not 12 like they were saying, or
Ah,
14. What did they say? They were
you know,
like, isn't
it's
it
just
12?
reading. It's tough.
Especially for Chris. We give him a pass.
Yeah.
You know.
And here at BC's, they went ahead and got a plastic cup, put some ice in it, and pour your RTD over some ice. It looks
Hell yeah.
great.
It
It's got
looks
a
great.
very like a reddish hue to it.
For some reason, I was expecting it to be clear. I don't know why. I have absolutely zero reason to think it was going to be clear, but it's not. And
It's pretty damn tasty.
Pretty damn tasty, yeah. Yeah, this is, it's definitely not, it doesn't scratch that itch of I want a beer,
No.
but this is a very, very tasty beverage. And I'm glad that I knew that they were out there, but I never really thought to try it. So thank you to Shift Beers for pushing Marco and I to jump out of our beer zone and drink one of these while we talk about your show.
Yeah, it's tasty. I don't have to look too hard to taste like, okay, this is a booze cocktail. The taste is pleasant. It's got a little bit of sweetness to it, and anybody who drinks Crown, I mean, knows that. Yeah, there's a harsh. It's not even harsh. It's you get
No.
the alcohol, and then you get sweetness, and you get the deep flavor of the blended whiskey.
Yeah,
Canadian.
It's well balanced. It's really well balanced. Where, like you said, you get that whiskey, that alcohol. I don't even want to call it a bite with this.
A what?
A bite.
Oh, a bite.
A bite. BITE. But you know it's there. Like, it's very present, but it's not overly so. It doesn't make you go, holy crap, I need to take a few drinks to get used to this. You can just, as Shift Beers was doing, chug this right from the get-go, though I don't think they had ice in their glasses.
No, they just cracked it open, and right from the beginning, they're like, I mean, we could just split one can amongst us. No, open 2 cans, split 2 cans.
Amongst 3 people.
For everything that they're going to drink.
Holy crap.
After the first run, they're like, we just need 1 can.
I want to know if they left the cans on Beth's desk, or if they were coherent enough at the end of the show to know that would be a very bad idea.
They probably left them on the desk.
They probably did. So in drinking, one of the most fun points that I took away from that is Josh and his dad. Neither of them are huge sports ball fans, but they both decided to go out to watch the Bengals game, which, more foreshadowing, we're going to do a bonus episode about the sports ball while we drink more stuff.
Yes.
Josh slammed like tens of $1.75 pitchers while eating Geta charcuterie and watching the Bengals.
Woo.
That sounds like a hell of a good evening to me.
Sounds like some flubby wubbles.
It sounds like good in the moment, but lots of flubby wubbles in the aftermath. So he didn't go into if the flubby wubbles happen, which I'm glad, but at the same time, there is that kind of train wreck curiosity, like...
Right.
That much Geta, that's lard. Like, that's a lot of stuff that keeps you moving in more ways than one.
Right.
Are you okay? He sounded okay. So obviously he survived the experience.
He sounded fine.
But yeah, hit up Raging Hop for your ticket to $1.75 pitchers of Kurz and High Life and like decade-old Killian's Red. It wasn't Killian's Red. What was it? That he said it was. There was another $1.75 pitcher.
It wasn't Killian's?
Was it? I don't know. I didn't write it down.
Might have been Killian's.
Something red. And something not very good. So they switched to
it's not Red Stripe, so it's probably Killian's.
Might have been Killian's, yeah. The show turned into the Newbert Report for quite a few minutes there.
Yeah, about hockey.
They did.
Talking some hockey.
They did.
Well, what it was one of those sort of organic conversations where Josh was talking about how he really didn't get into the sports ball, but it really got him energized. He really loves the city and thought it was very exciting for what's going on here in Cincinnati. And as we record, for anybody who's listening, in the future to the past, this is the week where the Cincinnati Bengals are moving on to the Super Bowl.
That is so weird to hear still. Yeah. It's so awesome. But yeah, so a few days prior to us recording this, Marco and I and my Josh were here at BC's Bottle Lodge Montgomery watching the Bengals kick the ever-living shit out of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
And they made it to the Super Bowl. So that's where Josh was, at a different location with his dad.
Right.
Watching the game and getting into it just like the rest of the city of Cincinnati was. So more props to him. I feel like some people would say that's like the, bandwagon fan, or, well, you're not a true fan unless you support them all. Who cares?
Yeah,
as long
who cares?
as you are enjoying them.
Just come along.
Just like beer. As long as you're enjoying what you're doing, what you're watching, what you're drinking in that moment, who cares? It's all good. Is that a foghorn going on in the song behind
Yeah, I think so. Okay. There's a foghorn. Not enough foghorns.
We should tell producer Brian to turn down the foghorn.
Did Foghattan have any foghorns in it?
Foghorn, leghorn, and them damn chicken hawks.
That's right. So that organic conversation was Josh getting into the sports ball, and then Chris immediately saying, "Oh,
it's got to be hockey."
Oh, if you're into sports now, you got to go see a Red Wings game.
Oh yeah.
Like what? How do you make that correlation to, the biggest sport in the United States, not the world, because we know what the biggest sport in the world is.
Curling.
Yes.
Yep.
And then make the leap all the way to the 4th or 5th biggest sport in the United States. I mean, you've got football, the NBA.
Football. Oh,
you got football, the NBA.
Handball.
You got college football.
Yes, that is definitely up there.
Baseball, curling.
Yep.
And then we have
Don't forget badminton.
Badminton.
Yeah.
They have that recreational sport where men have to carry their wives through mud and then run to, and see who gets them across the finish line first.
Is that just called wife carry, or is there like an official term to it? Okay.
I think it's called wife carrying.
I've always heard it as wife carry, but I didn't know if that was something.
And then hockey.
Yeah. Hockey's pretty low, but you know what? Again, for Chris, whatever you're into, as unpopular as it may be, cool. Go
I'm
for
going
it.
to say, I was at Buffalo Wild Wings one year, and one of the last games in the Stanley Cup playoffs, for everybody who doesn't know, the big competition or to get the trophy at the end of a hockey season is the Stanley Cup.
Yes.
Whatever. And so I was at a Buffalo Wild Wings, and they were showing like a replay of some old Reds game on like every TV. And then one small TV off somewhere was like the last game of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like not even the
TV?
sports bar cares about hockey.
But the Newport Report does. So
Okay, I'm glad they do. They're in a different country.
They are, but what I was just going to say is because Chris brought up hockey, if hockey is your thing, and if craft beer is your thing, because if it's not, I'm not sure why you're listening to us, check out the Newport Report. They are a craft beer podcast with a slight hockey problem and much better accents than the folks on Shift Beers. Hockey, craft beer, mostly Canadian craft beer, which I do want to say, not to take away from Shift Beers at all, but looking over here at BC's Bottle Lodge Montgomery, Newport Report often talks about collective arts beers. Right now at BC's Bottle Lodge Montgomery, on one of the big tables is a collective arts tablecloth.
Yes.
We could not find any collective arts beers here in the building, but if we see any, we may have to ask producer Brian if that's something that they can get. We would love to share in some of the beers that the Newport Report always rates incredibly highly on their show.
That would be great.
But yeah, so Chris kind of berated Josh a little bit about watching the footballs instead of the hockeys, but that's okay. It was
It's fine.
It was fine. But then they went into Josh calling us, well, I guess kind of me specifically, since I made the observation that because they had cut out almost all of the burps in previous episodes, I questioned, could they be adding in burps?
Right. It's like piping in crowd noise at a stadium.
During COVID. Right. They all got incredibly defensive about it. So I was not trying to accuse anyone of anything. I was simply making an observation that, hey, if they can do X, they could also do Y.
Right.
We're going to count the burps regardless. We have no way of validating what burps happened live in show or were added in post.
Correct.
But I just wanted to say, guys, it was not intended to be an attack on you. It was merely an observation and a question that, hey, it's entirely possible that this could happen. And Chris pointed out that he has very little integrity when it comes to a lot of things. Mm-hmm. But burps...
From his words, not ours.
Yes. The only thing that he ensures that he has 100% integrity for is the burp count on Shift Beers. So I believe them. Sure. I have no reason to doubt them. No. Like I said, it was just an observation based on what they had mentioned about previous episodes. So when we get to the burp count later on in this episode, as far as we know, it is 100% accurate. There were no added burps. There were no retracted burps.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
We're counting them anyway.
We're counting
whatever's in there. What other notes do you have from Shift Beers? I know with Beth being out and the boys being boys, there was a lot of, people being loud. It's like, nah, do this, do that. And
so I know that I have written down, and after I reread my notes about the show, I realized that this wouldn't have worked very well, but they had said that instead of ready-to-drink beverages, they should have called them ready-to-chug beverages, because that's what they were doing. They were splitting out 1 or 2 cans of each of these beverages into 3 cups, and then they were just slamming them.
Yep.
So I thought, man, this would have been a really perfect time for them to have used the draft top that we got them, which sign up for their Patreon if you want to see a video of them using the Christmas gift that we got for the Shift Beers team. But then I thought, well, if they're pouring them into cups anyway, they're not chugging them. They're not sharing a can to chug out of. So I guess it doesn't really fit.
Sure, but it's fine. I mean, they could have. Yes, sign up for Patreon and check out the video. They had some, was it Topo Chico?
They did, and they said that was some of the best seltzers that they've had outside of what the place they don't work out makes. So that makes me go, okay, next time I see some of that in Crochet, I'm going to have to pick some up. Because Josh has been my Josh, not Shift Beer's Josh.
Okay.
Has been pretty into seltzers lately. So he was actually, when we left.
Really?
So the place that we were at before we came up to BC's, they have some seltzers. And as we were driving up to BC's to watch the game, he even went, I'm kind of upset I didn't get a chance to try their seltzers.
Ah, okay.
So I'm going to try to make up to him for that by getting him some of the Topo Chicos, since they seem to be incredibly well received by the Shift Beers team.
I see them.
They're everywhere. It's not going to be hard to find.
I see them.
I've just never... Again, typically seltzers are not the kind of things that I'm buying for us, unless it's something kind of special like Astra, like the Astra Mix, the variety pack. That had a flavor in it that you couldn't get anywhere aside from the tap room. So I'll pick up stuff like that. But typically, we don't buy seltzers just to have in cans at the house.
What's that one long drink that Boston Beer is doing?
Bevy.
I haven't had any Bevy.
I have not either. I think Delhi Liquor actually just posted that they got their variety pack. So I might pick up some of that sometime soon.
Is it a variety pack?
It is.
Okay.
It's a variety pack. Snowmageddon is supposed to hit us starting, tomorrow night, Thursday morning, Thursday evening? Who
something
knows?
like that. Yeah, it's like the worst ice, snow, winter weather event after it's 60 degrees the previous day that Cincinnati's ever going to see. And it's probably because the Bengals are going to the Super Bowl. And
it is
so
the
now,
year of the Tiger. Everything
so now we have,
so ridiculous right now.
The winter from hell is about to start.
Good thing that the Bengals are playing in is it LA that the Super Bowl's in?
Yeah.
Or is it, okay, yeah, good thing that they're playing. I knew it was California. I couldn't remember if it was LA or wherever. But we'll cover that in a separate bonus episode.
Yes, we'll cover that in a
yes.
separate bonus episode. But I just think that there's a direct correlation between hell freezing over and then actually hell freezing over.
Yes, I would agree. I would agree. Other notes that I had, they covered 5 or 6 ready-to-drink beverages in this episode. All of them were, I believe, 7% or higher. So if you're chugging them in the amount of time that it took for the Shift Beers episode to take place, you're feeling good.
Ooh.
You're definitely feeling good.
Ooh.
The Crown Washington Apple was their top pick, which is why that's what we decided to drink here.
Delicious.
It is. It is really good. I may bring some home because I think
there you go.
I think Josh and I would both enjoy having this when we're not feeling like something super, super carbonated, like your typically is.
Sure.
Until the very end, when they forced it to happen, no boom noises from the mic, the boom stands. So I
did notice that.
Yeah, they either figured it out or they were just being very cautious about where they were setting down their beers. Good job to the entire Shift Beers team, except for Beth because she wasn't there. I
want to say good job to Beth for not being there.
This is true.
I mean,
this is true.
Just good job on not getting roped into that, ridiculousness. Or as Charles Barkley would say, ridiculousness.
Damn. Seriously, your accents and your impressions are just on point every single time. I don't know how you do it.
I don't know.
I don't know how you do it.
It just comes,
So the no boom mic noises, almost, until they force it, like they were saying, we have these mic stands and they do this. So it was forced, but there was nothing in the entire episode up until that point. I'd kind of forgotten that they had new mic stands that were giving them issues. So good on them for figuring out whatever they needed to figure out.
They drank through their entire allotment for the show, and then Chris was like, I got all these other beers in my fridge. Go get one of these. It's like,
yeah.
They had a New Glarus beer, right?
They did. I don't have it written down, but they had. It was a chocolate raspberry. No.
You know what? There should be an
it's in
addendum.
The show notes.
There should be an addendum to the drinking game. It's like whenever they pull out a barrel-aged beer, you have to finish whatever you're drinking. Like, finish it.
Dude, that would be every single episode.
That's what I'm saying. They don't have an episode where they don't drink a barrel-aged something.
Which, nothing wrong with it.
There's not.
Holy shit, that's a lot of ABV in, all things considered, not a whole lot of time.
Well, I mean, the show length itself, when it's, edited and put out, it's a fairly reasonable length.
It's from being on the show. We both have been on the show before, not together. I think that would be hilarious.
Well,
to be on the
anytime
show
they want.
together. Yeah,
anytime they want.
But I know that normally the entire recording time tends to go on for a while.
Right.
And then you, kind of like what we do, you edit down the parts that fit what the podcast is supposed to be about. And you go from there.
Taking you behind the curtain a little bit.
Yeah. One of the notes that I had that I was wondering if you had the same reaction to.
Probably.
Brian made a fish noise. And I lost it. I'm sitting in my office at work listening to this. Brian makes his fish noise. And it's one of those, I am trying not to snort laugh. I am laughing so hard at it. If that's not reason enough to listen to the episode, I don't know what is. They're talking about pescatarianism and veganism and vegetarianism and metasaurus.
Metasaurus.
Yeah, whatever. Beers. I've had beers and I've had
Beerosaurus.
RTDs. I don't know. But he made a noise that was probably the funniest noise that I've ever heard. He
also gave an account of a restaurant interaction that is worth listening to.
Oh, God, yeah. They decoded the entire Waffle House, secret language during the episode.
Right.
So if you've ever been to a Waffle House and you've seen them take your order and then put a mayonnaise packet or mustard packet, it was a mustard packet, upside down on the plate, in this episode, they tell you exactly what that means.
Right. It's probably on Reddit somewhere.
Oh, yeah, probably that. I actually Googled it, and I found out a whole bunch of information that I never knew existed about Waffle House. But listen to Shift Beers.
Can we...
And then...
You want to put it in the Google
0.5? We could do that. We could definitely do that.
A guy, true story from BC's Bottle Lodge.
Jesus.
A couple years ago, there was a guy sitting at the bar. And I'm sitting at the bar, and we get to talking about, I don't know, beer or something like that. And he says, yeah, well...
You started talking about beer at a bottle shop?
I know. And then he says, yeah, I work at Waffle House. Oh, that's cool. What do you do? Well, I'm one of the managers. I'm like, oh, that's pretty neat,
cool,
man.
yeah.
I mean, how'd you get into it? And then kind of worked his way up. And he's like, look, man, it's so different. I mean, they make everybody get their hepatitis shot. I say, what? He said, yeah, it's totally okay. It's like everybody gets their hepatitis shot. I'm like, you know what? I haven't been since maybe I was 21.
Drunk off your ass. You're hungover.
I'm not going again. What do you mean? It's safe. Nah, man, stop it with that BS.
There is, the one thing that I will say is there is a specific tile that the servers stand on when they're giving their orders to the kitchen. It really, ridiculously interesting stuff. Even if you're not into the restaurant industry at all, Waffle House's secret language for how they present orders from your table to the kitchen, mind-blowing.
Sure.
Absolutely mind-blowing.
Sure. It's like having a mastery of a strange Appalachian language.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So what else did you have about Shift Beers?
Nothing. I got nothing. It was fun. I don't want to give go listen to the episode. I don't want to give anything more away.
Yes.
We've given you enough true and maybe not so true things.
As we do.
That's what we do. So then that means it is time for the burp count.
It is.
So for those of you who are new to the show, thank you for listening, and I'm going to go over this. For those of you who have been with the show, you know what this is about. So what we do is we have one show that we have a drinking game associated with, and that is Shift Beers. What we do is we count all the audible burps, and we let you know how many burps that is. And then the typical, or what should be a typical amount of liquid per drink is about 2 ounces. Mm-hmm. And so what we do is we let you know how many pints, if you're playing this game at home, how many pints you would have had to have consumed during the Shift Beers episode. Okay?
Yes.
So, and we consult computer programs and algorithms and many different things. And then we come up with the burp count. So, Julia, take it away.
All right. Well, as you all know, or maybe you don't know if you're new, but I like to come up with a fun new word or phrase for labeling the tick marks that I use for each burp as I'm listening to shift beers.
Sure.
This one is called Adults.
The lack thereof.
The lack thereof. So in episode 66 of Shift Beers, where they were drinking ready-to-drink beverages, or as they were calling them, ready-to-chug beverages, they had a total of 54 burps, which is 108 ounces.
Oh, my.
6.75 pints
Wow.
of beer during the... It was about an hour and 20-minute episode.
Yeah.
So if you were doing the drinking game with an alcoholic beverage, even a low ABV...
I just thought you were saying if you're doing the drinking game with an alcoholic.
Hopefully not. If you were doing with an alcoholic beverage during this episode, you're going to be feeling pretty damn good by the time the episode is over. Now, I will add the disclaimer. We do not encourage doing this if it's something you shouldn't be doing, if it's something to where you're not in a safe space to do.
Yeah, please don't do it while you're driving. Please don't do it while you're baking things or frying things.
Right, you're going to fall asleep and the food's going to burn and it's going to be terrible.
Yeah, please do this.
If you're doing this and you're drinking 2 ounces of water per burp or tea or whatever, awesome, cool, do it whenever the hell you want. But if you were doing this as an alcoholic drinking game, we just ask you to be safe, to know yourself, and to
video record it.
Video record it and
send it, please.
And send it to @TruthBeer. And as long as you are good, we may repost it.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Again, it all depends on if you are okay.
Yes.
If not,
Correct.
We will not promote that in any way, shape, or form.
Correct.
But no, Shift Beers, as always, super awesome. Follow them. Join their Patreon for extra bonus episodes, bonus video content, such as their Championship Banger in a Box video episode, which was pretty damn funny.
Oh, Valentine's Day is coming up.
Oh, it is.
I bet there are some people that are going to
get a Shift Beers Patreon subscription for Valentine's Day.
Or put something in a box, Julia. Step 1, get a box.
Oh, my goodness.
Step 2, cut a hole in that box.
Oh, my God. Are we recording what's the closest we're recording to Valentine's Day? I need to look at the calendar.
Valentine's Day is on a Monday. No, Sunday? Monday. It's on a Monday.
It is on a Monday. So
we're recording the Tuesday after Valentine's Day, which, by the way, I have like a 9-hour work meeting on that Tuesday. On that Tuesday is so just painful.
So I want to say, and I don't know if she listens or not, but one of my amazing, awesome friends, Gretchen's birthday is the 15th of February. So Gretchen, if you are listening, happy birthday early. And I will shout you out again.
There we go.
On our Tuesday recording episode, even though you would hear it late. So
yeah, you'll hear it on Friday.
Yeah.
Unless we put it in the 0.5 or something.
And we do something, So we'll see if we're going to do something special for Valentine's Day. I mean,
or Gretchen's birthday.
Yeah. It is not a Valentine's episode. It will be a Gretchen's birthday episode. So Gretchen, you better be listening to this.
Maybe the week before a Valentine's Day episode, since the podcast released on a Friday, and then you got the weekend,
which would be
probably
next week's episode.
People are probably going to celebrate Valentine's Day over the weekend.
No, they'll be celebrating Gretchen's birthday over the weekend, leading up to the Tuesday of her actual birthday.
Yeah. That's true.
All right, we got this.
All right, sounds great, Julia.
Marco.
What else you got? Anything else you want to wrap up the show?
I've got nothing else. Let's wrap up the show. All we have are plastic cups full of a really, really damn good, ready-to-drink beverage.
And I want to say we've been very good, too. We've really, really paced ourselves here. Julia, how do people, do good to the show? How do people find us, support us? What should they do to, do all the things to help our show grow?
If you like what you've heard, if you think this is funny, amusing, entertaining, or even enlightening in one way or another, you can follow us at Truth Beer Pod on all the social medias. Please, as Marco said, like, reviews, subscribe, share, all of the stuff that you can do for a podcast. So if you can review our podcast on whatever podcast app you listen on, we would absolutely love to have a 5-star review. If there's something you do not like about the show, send your complaints to @RagingHop on Twitter, and he will forward those to us. Again, as I've said before, at TruthBeerPod on all the social medias. Email us with any ideas, questions, concerns, anything like that at truthbeerpod@gmail.com. And if you would like to buy Marco and I a pint or a can of a ready-to-drink beverage or contribute to us upgrading our equipment and finding new and better ways to expand and better the show, if you go to our website, truthbeerpod.com, there is a big blue support us link. Please click on that and buy us a pint. We would absolutely love that. We'll shout you out on the show.
Thank you, everyone, for your time. Truly appreciate it. And it's, that time is valuable and it's not lost. We understand that you could be, doing many other things, and I truly appreciate it. I know
Likewise.
Julia, yes, Julia does as well. Catch us, on all of your favorite, pod places, and we have a 0.5 that comes out to review beer events in the city.
That comes out on Wednesdays, yep.
That comes out on Wednesdays. We have a regular episode that posts on Fridays, and if we get if we so feel the muse, we put out another episode. So
little bonus episode.
So thank you, everyone. And Julia, since we have plastic glasses, no one's going to be able to hear this.
So we will say our chinks as we round out the show.
All right, Julia. What are you doing next week?
I am going to be listening to some Cincinnati craft beer podcasts and hopefully meeting you here at BC's by Lodge Montgomery to talk about them. How about you?
That's my plan. Let's go.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Plastic cup chink.
Boop.